Hello, everyone. Um, Here we are back for the second hour of our April meeting of the UVTAG. We are lucky to have for our second hour our speaker staying with us. This is Robert Givens. And if you want to hear his whole bio, you can watch the beginning of his first class today, which was about a new feature released at FamilySearch, where you can have your living members in a private group, living members of your family. Today, we're here this second hour to talk about 5 lesser used features of FamilySearch. And the description of this is the 5 he's going to talk about. Start discovering your family story, the About page, timeline and map page, the chats, notes, discussions, and brief life story collaboration tools. And let's see, did I get them all? There's one more.
Follow
the following feature. That's right. And so we're glad to have you all here. Remember to check the chat or look on Facebook to see if the handout's posted. And the time is yours, Robert.
Okay, and I just added to the chat for the Zoom group a new one that looks very similar to the messages I put before, but this one has the 5 lesser used features link. What I did is I'm providing you the slides that you're going to see in a PDF format so that you don't really have to take heavy notes. You can just download the slides and be able to see the whole presentation.
Oh, thank you very much. That's really great.
And so I'm trying to get it to populate my screen. Oh, don't sit there and just spin. Let's try this link. There we go. I have to do a few things so that I can see the screen the way I want to see it. Okay, now, Lori didn't mention this time, but I do, I'm an area advisor for the or for the church for temple and family history work. And one of the things I do that's a little different is we do trainings for the consultants in our region, the 11 states. And I post these to YouTube. And I just can't believe this particular presentation has had over 3,000 views. So this has to be a topic that's interesting. I offered to do the other presentation that I talked about earlier, and you guys wanted 2, and you guys picked this same one that seems to be such a hot topic. So I guess it's a good topic to talk about. So we're going to talk about some of the lesser used features, those things that maybe you know about and you just haven't been using for a while. I hope that this might encourage you to, further utilize the website to its fullness. And if you're working with other people, be sure to introduce them to those features that would help them. And so, as Lori has said, these are the topics that we're going to cover, and we'll just kind of go pretty quick through them, because if we don't, we'll be here forever. And basically, they can be divided into 3 kinds of things that it will do for you. Some will help grab your attention and provide kind of a wow factor to your family history experience on FamilySearch. Others can help patrons enrich their family history experience by seeing that family history is more than just names and dates. So for some of these, it'll help stretch things beyond just the names and dates. And it will provide patrons with ways to manage their records and work on collaboration with others, which is a big feature of FamilySearch that needs to be stressed and constantly stressed. Okay, so the very first one is this discovering your family story. Now, most of us see this every time we go to FamilySearch. How many of us have stopped to explore what the page does and looks like before we sign in? This is the before you sign in homepage. And it's been designed this way to provide a way for potential users, people that haven't even signed into FamilySearch yet, to experience FamilySearch and make a decision on whether they think this is a place they ought to go to or not. It's really important to point this out, especially if you work with new people that have just maybe come into your FamilySearch center that are not members, especially that don't know anything about FamilySearch, because you can really wow them if you can find some things about their family. And so the introduction stuff that they have here, you see without even being a member of FamilySearch. This is the way you get to see a taste of the website. And it starts by offering you a chance to put in the names and a little information of somebody who's dead, because obviously we want to try to find somebody in the tree. And we can all see the deceased people in the tree. And the goal here is to try to show them that there's value in FamilySearch, that's always a hard thing to sell people on. And you can do this, like I say, without having to get them signed up first. Let them see this first. Remember, you're looking for a deceased family member. So I put in there one of my great-grandfathers, Henry Harrison Sands. I know he lived in Pennsylvania. He was born around 1840. And so I put that in and did the search. And the first thing, there's a series of things that come up. Right now, we're looking at family tree profiles. And you see in that red box, you can switch between things. I'm going to scroll down through them, starting with profiles. And so right off the bat, I see my ancestor. He's right there. That's his picture. And I know that that's him. I know that's his wife. I missed the date by 5 years, but it still found him. And it shows me 73 other people that could be him. But this is the one I want. Okay, the filters are up there. I'll just take you through each. We're right now on family tree profiles. Other results will include things like sources. They'll start showing you some sources that may or may not be him. Now, the catch will always be you'll be able to get one click, and then beyond that, you're going to have to sign in. So like I could click on the source, it will expand the source, but then to do anything further, I have to sign in. It will also take me to memories for him, or possibly for him. They may not all be him. That last memory on the bottom row is somebody else for sure, because the dates are different. But the first 3 pictures, the chair from his wedding gift, the family Bible, those are all definitely him. And this one up here where he married my great-grandmother. Okay, and they will also show you information on the last name, in this case for Sands. And, that may or may not be accurate. Now, that's just an introduction to what you do for people who are not registered at FamilySearch yet. It uses a lot of information from a page that's in FamilySearch. Now we're signed in, that maybe we don't pay a lot of attention to. And that's the About page. This page is linked on every page, every home page for a person, every person page with that About link. You may not have been using that. You may not have referenced over there. This is a great page to use to try to get people interested in their family history beyond just the dates and places, because we know that homepage is really heavy with dates and places, and that's why it's there. I mean, we're doing family history, but some people, that does not turn them on. The About page will help with that. It's a great place to put people that are less enthused in, so that maybe they'll catch the vision, catch the feeling. And this is where the potential users are directed over to that About page. Okay, this is what an about page looks like, very reduced, but the feeling for it is you can see that it's got a lot of color in it. It presents things a little bit differently, and it's more visual than just the regular page, but it covers most of the important things. It has a brief life history that initially is generated by the computer, AI, from information on Henry, or you can later, if you want, adapt that by doing your own brief life story and then substituting it for this one. It has sources, it has world events that occurred during the person's life. It shows you some of their memories that are actually their memories, if they have memories. It'll show you their spouse and children's group, their parents and siblings group. It'll show you some activities that you can do based on this tree. It talks about the name meeting, and it includes a family timeline. So it has a lot of things that you won't find on the normal homepage. It's just a nice way, especially like for kids or somebody that's never been involved much in family history, a way to get them kind of involved and interested. And there's a place for discovering even more down here. Or you can search for another ancestor. That's the About page. Now, when you're introducing things to people, it is going to show them some historical records that may or may not be for that person that you were searching. You can see the index list, but to explore more, you're going to have to create an account. The idea is they're showing you, hey, FamilySearch has a lot of records. When it goes over to memories, like I said before, some of the memories will be of that person, really. Others might be for somebody else with a similar name. So you got to be a little bit careful on those. Again, if you click on it, it will expand the memory, but to go any further, you have to sign in. And then the last name, the same thing, to give you a little information. May be accurate, may not be. In the case of Sands, it's pretty accurate, even from where they came from. Okay. Timeline and map. Now, this is a feature that we've had for quite a while. I just wonder, because I know myself, I don't use this much. And so this was something that, I had to kind of reintroduce myself to, because I'm not a real good user of it either, and think about some of the purposes for it. The timeline and map can be accessed from the ribbon at the top of the home page. Now, this is for people that are really signed in. Many users of the tree have no clue that this feature is even there. It'd be interesting to ask people how many of you know about the timeline and find out how many people really do or not. And this feature can really help someone to visualize. If they're a visual person, this is a place you want to take them. And some of us are visual learners. Now, this is the landing page, and this is what it kind of looks like. Okay, immediately you're going to notice it's visual. You've got the map, you've got boxes with things in the timeline that all have pictures to them. It's very visual. And what you need to do is learn how to personalize it to use it to your best needs. At the top of the timeline, there's a toggle and filters, and the map has an adjustment too, and we'll take you through these. And to use these adjustments, that'll help you to show just exactly what you want. Okay, so let's first talk about the timeline. You can turn on the map feature at the top of the timeline by picking the little slider. That turns the map on over there. And the second is you've got a show menu, and it's showing you to the right of show now the different things that you can show in the timeline. And it allows you to increase the number of options or decrease them. You can show residences, you can show custom events, you can show other events, historic events that happened during the person's life, and you can show relationship things, like you can show the things about the spouses when they were born, married, died, things about the children when they were born, married, died, parents and siblings, and all of that. But you got to beware. You can make this timeline so busy and so big that it's going to be totally confusing to everybody. I mean, I have a polygamous ancestor with 5 wives and 43 kids. Can you imagine what this timeline is going to look like if I click spouses, children, parents, and siblings? He had 9 siblings too, for this person, and create this timeline. It would be humongous. It would be so busy you'd have trouble finding the things about him. So you want to be careful how much you turn on, and you can alter it and change it and decide what you need. Now, I specifically picked a family that was very small. It's my father-in-law's natural parents, who only had him. And so there's no siblings and there's not much in there. So it makes it a nice, simple demonstration. Beware, it can get messy. So your challenge is to use it to meet your needs. Play around with it and see what happens. Okay. Family events only. All right. This sets up and allows you to see the events of a person's family, so the person can be seen in context to their family members. Now, this is actually set on my father-in-law's natural father, who was born in 1900. He had 1 sibling who was born in 1902. He married Muriel Reese on 27th of February in 24. My father-in-law was born the 2nd of August. There was the problem. He was born less than 9 months, and so his in-laws, his mother's in-laws, forced them to give him up for adoption. And so that's why he's Robert John Blessing, even though his dad's a Gray. And so this is a very simple little family to follow, though. I've got everything it shows for spouses, children, parents, and siblings. So for a little family, it makes it a nice, simple little timeline. Okay, now the map. The map is linked to the things on the timeline. So I switched over to the timeline for my father-in-law, and it's showing you several different things. Now, there you can connect the dots, if you want to call it that, by saying hide or to show the route. Right now, the route is showing. If I click there, the dotted lines go away. This allows you to see the events that are in the timeline in numerical order, so you know where they're at. You can also enlarge the map. Like there's 7 things that go on around Cedar Rapids. You can't see all 7 right now because it's kind of collapsed around there. I would need to blow it up. My father-in-law, my father-in-law's father, this is my father-in-law's father's thing. He was in the First World War. And that way over there in Philadelphia is where he had to go when he was discharged from the war. And that's why that's there. See, that's one of his life events. So the map's going to show you whatever's showing on the timeline. You can adjust what's on the timeline. That changes what's on the map. I think it's a great feature to follow a person's progress. Where you have problems is if it just says Illinois. Well, then they'll just put a dot in the middle of Illinois because they don't know really where it was. So, sometimes they're going to be a little ambiguous. And if you click on the pins, it's going to show you on the map where you're at. or on the timeline, I mean. When you click on the little dot, like if I click on the number 2, which is above Pittsburgh there, it will show whatever's really the second item on this timeline. Okay, collaboration. You know, this is the big thing about FamilySearch. They really want us to collaborate. But to do that, we've got to be able to use all the tools that are there and understand how they work. And so we need to talk a little bit about the 3 primary functions of communication, collaborating. One is this allows us to communicate information that doesn't easily fit in the tree. By using these collaboration tools, we can add some other things like warnings, things like lessons we've learned about researching this person. They allow us to share research information, suggestions, and they help us to directly communicate with other users. So we're going to go through these notes, discussions, chats, and brief life history. First, notes. I pulled this off of person page. Notes can be found on the person page. If you want to see all, if there's enough that you can't see all, just click Show All. And this can be accessed through the collaboration link at the top of the page. On the ribbon at the top of the page, there's a link that says Collaboration. It's also found on the right-hand side under Notes. Okay, so I'm on Edson Barney. There's where it says Collaborate, and he's got 21 collaboration items. And when I click on that, I see a whole slew of them. So let's just take a note and talk about notes in general. I've never been able to figure out what Phaleus fever is. I have searched and searched and not been able to come up with that. So if somebody here can give me a definitive explanation of it, I would love to know. Because he died of Phaleus fever. Okay, you can contact the author of a note simply by clicking on the person's name, and up will come the standard little pop-up that gives you their way to be a contact, or if they provide it, their email. You can edit the note by clicking on the pen, and up pops the edit button. Once open, you can edit the note and resave it, which means you could take somebody else's note and change it totally different yourself. You got to be aware that that can be done to your notes. And somebody can click edit, and then they can click delete and delete your note. So beware of that. The author has no control over the notes. Notes can be edited and deleted. And that's a bad feature to me, but that's the way it works. If it's something that's really important, my recommendation would be create a memory with that note in it. Then you have a little more control. Okay, now you'll notice there's a thing up there called Alert Note up at the very top. Right underneath Edit Note, it says Alert Note. We're going to talk about that because that's a new feature. Okay, from the Help Center, it says Alert Notes. Each person in Family Tree can have one alert note. The note notifies other users that research notes or warnings. Users should read the notes before they edit the profile. Okay, so this is a typical alert note. One of my ancestors has some real problems with where he comes from and who his parents might be. A lot of people are trying to put him in a different part of England than he really came from, and so on. So I can create a note about this situation saying, please consider not adding parents unless you can prove that they're really his parents, essentially. Okay, and this note has been clicked as an alert note. And if you go to his person page now, At the very top, you're going to see a ribbon there that says important research has been done. Please read these alert notes, which is a misnomer because you can only have one note. So it should say read the alert note before making changes. Now, this message is a note. So therefore, it can be edited and somebody else can delete it. I would strongly recommend if you use alert notes, make it into a memory also as a document in memories. So it's still there when somebody comes through and decides you're wacky and they want to get rid of your crazy note. So, it's just a warning to you. Okay. Now, this all came about because of brief life history. Family Tree used to have a brief life history. And what we found is that many of us, like me, were using this instead to put warnings. It wasn't called a brief life history. It was called life story, brief life story, or something like that. So they recalled it. They repurposed it as brief life history to try to get us to really use it as a life history. What is nice is if you create a life history now, you can then go over and move it to the about page and make it replace the computer generated story. So that is nice. This is a brief life history of my great-grandmother that married Henry Harrison Sands. We knew her as Jenny Elizabeth Beck. The trouble was that wasn't her name. And so I explain all that in her life story, her brief life story, a one-paragraph life story. And it can be edited by anybody. This is the edit page. And that's where you will see that you can publish it as a brief life history over on the About page. This is where the button is to move it over there and replace the computer-generated one. And then it can be saved, can also be deleted. Okay, discussions. Now, these are kind of buried when you find if you go to like the collaboration link, these are listed below the notes. So they get kind of buried down here. And they're a little bit different than notes. They can't be edited or deleted by anyone except the author. So you may see some things like it says, this person's in tree 3 times. Well, we can't get rid of that now. Even though those 3 people have been merged, it's still there. And it's going to stay there unless the person that created it decides to remove it. This would be the ideal place to put those warnings and things like that, because nobody else can delete it. The bad part is it's buried down below the notes in the list of collaboration things, and many people never look down here. So I would strongly recommend you at least make these into a memory. And we have like on that Richard Catter family, his son Richard, nobody knows his wife's name. People keep trying to put a Margaret Richards there because the father was married to a Mary Reichard, and somehow it's been morphed into Margaret Richards and added as a wife to the son instead of the second wife to the father. And anyway, it's a mess. And so I made a discussion comment there, hoping that at least it won't get deleted. The trouble is being viewed is the issue. Notes are easier to view. discussions or not. Okay, chats. Now, it's kind of a new feature, but it isn't. It replaced messages. And I left this up here, even though it's out of date now, just so you know, when they converted messages into chat, they wanted to throw away anything older than 2023, or older than 2022, excuse me. And so what they did is they offered us a time period back when they were doing this conversion that ended at the end of 2023, where you could do a copy and paste of the old messages. They're now gone. You don't have any option. Messages will only go back to a point, and that's where they end now. And you can only see the newer ones. Chat is very similar but different. This is what the chat window will look like. You have a place where you can search the chat for a person, if you have an extensive list, or for a certain word in the message. It'll do an every word search. And so you can search either way to find somebody if you think you've corresponded with them before. Or if you see somebody in the list that you want to just chat with, you can chat by clicking on their name. You can start a new chat up here, put a name of a person in FamilySearch in there, have a user, one of their usernames. Type your message in the box way down at the bottom. And there are now the ability to add to the chat either a memory, excuse me, a memory or an image, or you can use emojis. So it's expanded what used to be the messages a little bit with some extra features that we can use when you're chatting. The other thing is if the person actually is online in FamilySearch, this can be a live chat back and forth, which is kind of nice. You don't have to go through the messaging system where you have to go over and find a link to the message that was sent to you. You can just chat back and forth in real time. This works on FamilySearch.org. Also works in the Tree app. This box can be moved around on the page, which is nice. So you can be looking at something on the page and move the chat to a portion of the page that's not going to block what you want to talk about. From the mobile app, you can get notifications about chats coming in. Chats can include multiple people. That's the other thing. You can line up 3, 4, 5, 10 people if you want and chat with them at the same time. You can click on a chat with someone who contributed on Tree. And when you do that, it will include the ID of the person on Tree that you were working from. So if you're on Henry Harrison Sands and you click on a contributor to that page to chat, it's going to say you were over on Henry Harrison Sands. So they'll know where you were at when you found them. Chats have categories. You can filter them to read, unread, or threads, or private, or FamilySearch groups. Because see, in these groups, you can chat. So this is a way to get over to the chats for a certain group if you're not in that group at the time. And there's a blog article introducing FamilySearch chats. And you can go to that blog article and it will give you more information on the chats. Following. If you click on a follow on a person, it will then say following. So when you look at people in Tree, if you see the word following, that means you are currently following that person. If you click on that following, it unfollows the person. So be careful. You want it to say following if you're really following the person. And you can follow only deceased persons. And the key to this is it allows you to see when another user changes the information, whether it's a date, a place, a relationship, does a merge, adds a memory, anything done to that person, you will get notified. You can follow up to 4,000 people. Don't do it. Don't follow 4,000 people. You will go insane. Your life will become consumed by the changes over 4,000 people. Make sure you limit it to people you really want to follow. I follow a couple of hundred, and that's bad enough. Okay, deceased people that I am following is a list that you can find on FamilySearch, and it will show you the changes made to those people during the last 60 days. So it's a 60-day running list of changes, people that have had changes. If nothing's happened over 60 days, they get dropped from that list of deceased people I'm following that have changes. Okay, you can add labels to these people. I'm not sure yet what exactly I'd want to use labels for. I could label, I have what I call hot spots in my pedigree, places where there are some real issues going on. I could label them a hot spot, and then they would show up under the labels. I could get to them real quick. I don't have to worry because they're always at the top of the list with changes being made, whether they should be or not. And you can receive, if you set your settings, for a weekly notification of changes. Okay, so where do you find the list, the following list? Okay, you go over here to following up on the ribbon at the top of the page. Then from there, you can search for a person, like I have 166 in this case. I'm following 166. If I didn't want to have to scroll through it, I could put a name in there and it would take me directly there. I can use the filters to customize my list the way I want it. And I will see the people who I'm following that have been changed in the last 30 days at the top of the list. So the last, I think I said 60 days before. I think it actually is 30. The ones that have been changed in the last 30 days will show up first in a chronological order of changes. The most recent change at the top, and then on down. And then after the 30 days, everybody else is down there near the bottom. Okay, and it shows you what their main changes are, when they were changed, and by whom they were changed. Now, you can also see who's following a person. Have you ever gone to a person and made a change and it said, your change is going to be noted by 6 other people? Well, if you come over here, you're following that person. There's the 3 little dots. You can click on that, and it'll say, in this case, for Richard Cornell, that there's 12 people following him. Now, I could unfollow him if I want. I could add a label, or I can see those 12 people. That's what's cool. Here's where you can find a list, and it will tell you when they started following and what their username is. So you can see who the 12 people are. You can see that I started following him in June of 2021, but it looks like Linda Wood started following him way back in 2016. But this is a way to find those other people that are interested in a person that you're actually following. Okay, so in conclusion, take advantage of these features. They're there, they're often forgotten, but they can really improve your use of FamilySearch and help you with working with others, or help influence getting other people interested in the tree. So, questions?
Do we have any?
I don't have any on Facebook. I'm watching.
Put you to sleep.
No, it was so good. I love all yeah, these are so great. Great presentation, as always.
And remember, I put the slides over, the link to the slides in the chat for this, and you guys have put it over on Facebook.
Right.
As I recall.
Don,
It looks like Don's
unmute
trying to
yourself,
say something.
Don. Unmute you.
Okay, now I'm unmuted, I think.
There you are. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I just can't see very well. In some cases, some of my ancestors are locked, so we can't change them at all because they were making changes that were, 5 changes, and then they lock it and won't let you change it. What happens on that with following? If I haven't tried this following
I
thing,
think
but
you can follow them because that's not changing their record. That's just making a reference to them for you. You
I know,
should be
but
able to still follow.
but would there be any point in it
No.
if it can't change it? Yeah.
Really, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. For example, in Erastus Snow, people keep sticking Fairbanks in as a middle name, which was not his middle name. He didn't have a middle name. The church historians library calls it middle name creep. There are 3 or 4 different people that people keep adding that to. There are reasons why they add it, but I've got the original records, and so I've written a long explanation as to why it's not there, but people don't pay attention to that, and they stick it back in. So they've changed it. So they've locked it.
Yeah,
And,
they've taken most people that would be general authorities or famous in the church or famous in the world and lock those records for that very reason. So they can't be messed with because people want to mess with them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Anyway,
So
good presentation.
So
thank you.
Is it okay with them if you write a message in, like if, let's say it got locked on the wrong thing?
Yeah, well, that's the only thing you can do is write
You
them a
can't.
special message.
When they're locked, nothing can be changed except by admin.
Yeah, right. And so you can write them and say, this is the reason and so on. But there's a 3-page thing, I guess, that I've written in there about why it ought not to be written in there, but nobody paid any attention to it. They don't read it.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this alert thing. That's something else I could, well, I guess I can't put even that in now because you can't change it.
Yeah. But that works for the unlocked ones.
Yeah, right.
If you can get the people to read it.
That's the big question.
That's the other half. Now, the one thing I did not mention, that alert or the alert note on the standard person page is at the bottom of the page.
Oh.
You can go over on the right-hand column of the person page, and there's a setting button down in the last group that allows you to reorder the left-hand side of the page where it has vitals and family and all that stuff. And I moved the alert note to the very top of the page for me so that I see the alert notes at the top. I wish everybody would do that, but they have the option of moving it around. I forgot to bring that up. Actually, I think it was on the slide and I just skipped over it.
Oh boy, that's valuable. Thank you. Yeah. I didn't realize that changed it for everybody. I thought it only changed it for
No,
that
it only
person.
changes it for you.
Yeah,
I
know,
wish
but for everybody that I look at, not just for that one person.
Oh yeah, it'll change every view you make and put that at the top of the screen.
Thank you for mentioning that. Good.
Now, FamilySearch is fun. There's always new stuff, and it's easy for this stuff that's old to kind of be skipped.
Yeah,
you forget about it. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, that's it.
It'd be a good idea for everybody to at least give each of
Yeah.
these things a try and find out if it does anything for the way you research. And
Well, I
if it
think it's
does,
helped me
use it.
with my hot spots. I still have some issues, but I think looking back at the frequency of problems, it's reduced it by about 80%.
Boy, that's significant.
It
It
is. It's
is.
really important. So
Yes.
I've had fun. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
and
been wonderful. We learned at least I had learned all kinds of things that I wasn't aware of. I've seen some of these things and had no idea what they were. So you pointed out good things.
I think it's a good idea that you pointed out regularly that if you've got something that's really crucial and maybe people won't look at those specific, oh, I don't know what you'd call them, tags or whatever, but to put whatever the information is in as a memory.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote in, we didn't catch this before we closed our first hour, but somebody made a suggestion when Don Snow was talking about how he could show the snow numbers, that you could add a picture, or in their main picture, put a number in that picture, his family snow numbers there, or you could actually just write a note in their
Yeah,
And
Don,
put
you
that
could
in.
make a picture like for you and then put up in the corner of it snow 1
Yep.
Mhm,
Yeah.
and then make that your profile picture.
mhm.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could do that. The only problem is you can't sort them in order. That's what we need to do, is be able to sort them so that we can see a complete list. And you can't do that with memories.
Hmm,
Yet.
that would be
There'll be
interesting.
a way. Eventually, there'll be a way. We're
Yeah.
doing it with the other programs.
Okay. His last chance, everybody. Is there anybody else who wants to ask a question?
It really was important information that you gave us, Bob. It's very well presented too.
Oh, well, thank you.
And it's nice having a copy of your slides with the suggestions and explanations on there that we can go back to, because that was a lot to take in all of a sudden. Does anybody else have any?
We had just a comment on Facebook. Thank you. Very interesting and well presented as well. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Yes, we have a lot of people who come back and watch these on Facebook and on our website.
I'm
And
one of them.
well, that's a great endorsement.
I use your website.
Yeah, we have more people that watch later by several hundred than watch live.
Yeah.
And they're particularly interested in, and I guess as we all are, about these things that are going on FamilySearch, because it's very difficult to keep up with. I mean, they've got whole teams of people and a team for each different area of FamilySearch. And here we are with one brain trying to hang on to
Yeah.
all their work. So it's good to be able to have these things recorded that you can go back and remind yourself. So that's one of the benefits if you actually join as members, that you can go back and watch the Zoom recordings of many of our past presentations, and they're up for a while on Facebook. So that's also another option. Trying to think of anything else we want to mention. If there's anybody who hasn't renewed their membership, this would be a good time to take care of that. I think our just released newsletter consisted of about 37 pages. It's like getting a magazine every month now.
Yes.
So we try to keep that full of things that are really helpful. I personally write an article every month about what's new in genealogy, and then another one on what's new in technology for genealogy. So, and I try to put at least 10 things on each of those. So that's over 20 good tips a month just from those two features that we have. So we're thankful for Brother Gibbons for being here and being our guest speaker today and for answering our questions and presenting this important material on family search, which is the changes are never ending and the, and the additions are never ending, it seems like. So I think sometimes now I think back to when they said we had to get rid of the way we were submitting temple names because it was too complicated. The temple ready. I think now that it's really complicated. I mean, there's so many things built into FamilySearch that were never there before. And I think that we need to go out of our way, those of us that can, to help people who are just getting started on FamilySearch, to help them see the good there, because it's kind of mind-boggling when if you just sit back and look at it and think about what if I hadn't been doing genealogy for 25 years. So anyway, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see all of you next month at our May meeting, and that'll be May 11th. And we'd love to hear from you. Any comments, questions, topics that you would like to have presentations on, just go ahead and use our email and let us know. And thank you so much, Brother Gibbons.
Sure, no problem, anytime.